So there's a lot of mixed reactions about the Senate Banking Committee's meeting on February 4th. Is this bullish for crypto? Did a lot of people not get the news they were looking for? And at the end of the day, I think it's extraordinarily bullish for crypto. I'm going to tell you exactly why and a lot of things that people missed. And even though the market really hasn't responded overwhelmingly, I think the groundwork has been laid, but this is very important to take note of the things I'm going to talk about. There's 4 real reasons why I believe that this is monumental and historic and will be game changing. Let's take a quick listen to David Sachs here.
I've talked to many founders over the past few years, and they've told me repeatedly that the number one thing they need from Washington is regulatory clarity. They just want to know what the rules of the road are so they can abide by them. We're coming off, frankly, 4 years of arbitrary prosecution and persecution of crypto companies where the SEC wouldn't tell founders what the rules were, but then they would prosecute them. And many founders have even told me stories of being debanked personally just because they had founded a crypto company.
Let's just talk about that. I mean, that is just absurd and ridiculous that, you have a regulatory authority, SEC, that's saying, not telling you what you can and cannot do. There's no clarity on the rules. And yet, if you break the rules, they're going to come after you. And they might even tell you, in some cases I've heard where they've said, hey, this is, you can do this. Then later on they came back and said, nope, and now we're going to prosecute you for it. I can't substantiate all that right this second. But let me just take you through what's next. So what do we get yesterday and what's next? Look, he mentioned a clear legal framework, and this is extraordinarily important. It says expect definitive classifications of digital assets, whether they're securities, commodities, or a new asset class, right? So this will lay the groundwork to understand, is this something that, who is going to regulate this? Is it the SEC, the CFTC, or another entity that will regulate crypto markets altogether? Because crypto markets are not exactly like other classes, right? So a clear legal framework is a good start to understanding, right? Banking and crypto integration. We've heard about the repeal of SAB 121 through an executive order, which allows banks to custody your crypto. So they've avoided those crypto partnerships due to all the regulatory concerns. And who has the money? The banks have the money. That's where people's money is, right? This group could push for guidelines that make it easier for banks to work with crypto companies without fear of legal repercussions. Right now, banks are like, we don't want to mess with it because we could get caught up in all this legal mumbo jumbo and we don't have time for that and it will erode our profits over time. It's not worth it. But this will help lay the groundwork for all that. So we're still at the base level. Remember, President Trump had his crypto executive order, a week into his presidency. We're still in the infancy of all of these things and the regulatory. They just formed these committees to work on these things. But the fact is that there's a long-term advancement of crypto, whereas before there was nothing. So now we have legal groundwork. Now crypto's done fine in the face of a lot of legal opposition, but it wasn't until, Trump was elected that crypto started to really rally. Stablecoin regulations. This is huge, and most people don't understand how big this is because stablecoins, the more access to stablecoins, the more regulatory safety around them, the more likely people are to use them. If people don't feel that they're safe using stablecoins or crypto altogether and that the government might take it or it might end, I was scared to buy Bitcoin at $8,000 because I thought there's a possibility of government coming in and just making that go to zero. So stablecoins are used widely in DeFi and in payments. Think about the payment rationale, but their legal status remains unclear. Yeah. Is it a currency? Is it a currency that fights with the US dollar for attention really? A regulatory framework could legitimize stablecoins and encourage their broader adoption in commerce. Absolutely true. So this might be looked at cross-border payments for stablecoins, Ripple USD. A lot of people say, well, Joe, this is just opening the door to CBDC. Maybe that's true. That is something that does worry me. That in that talk, David Sachs mentioned that, one of the people in crypto was debanked. In other words, they took his money, seized his assets. Well, so whether we have a CBDC just makes it easier to seize your assets, but the government will still take your money if they want to. So I don't fully understand the legal ramifications of a CBDC. Right now, I'm just thinking I don't want it. That might change. Maybe they change some rules and regulations around it, but governments do over time try to take your freedoms away. That is true. We fight that, we fight the control, and that's why we have crypto. But the reality is that most governments, they try to seize ultimate control because they think they know better than you, which is not the case. That's why crypto and Bitcoin really exist, isn't it? So tax clarity. This is a big one. I just know doing my taxes last year, I actually did crypto taxes, and I put my information into 4 different of those crypto tax informational systems, and it came up with 4 radically different results. And so if I don't know how to do it, it's wildly complex. I don't know how the IRS is going to audit it. I don't know how they're going to look at it. I don't know which system they're going to look at. Give me some freaking clarity. Give me a tool to use where I put my wallet addresses in and it tells me how much taxes I owe. Something of the nature. Don't make it hard for me. If taxes are due, I'll pay them. But you got to make it easy for me to pay my taxes and me to understand really what is a taxable event and what's not. Current tax rules for crypto transactions are unbelievably complex and unbelievably unclear. And I don't think the IRS themselves understand it. A structured policy could lead to simplified tax reporting and better guidelines on capital gains. That'd be great. Every year I cringe doing my taxes. Last year, the form that I had to fill out ended up being 784 pages long, mostly because there's a lot of trades in there. But that is unbelievably ridiculous. Now, luckily, I had systems that used that filled that out for me. But still, 784 pages had to be filled out in order for me to complete a couple lines on my tax returns. Absolutely insane. So where are we right this second? This is something that, right now, this is the market. It's mixed. This is the last hour. This is the last day. I'm sorry, this is the hour. Let's get rid of that. Here we are in the day. In the last day, you've had some rebounding, but really the market's still unclear what to do. You look at where Bitcoin is. If you look at the 3rd, it was down here. It came up in anticipation. Bitcoin came up in anticipation of the announcement by the banking committee and the crypto czar, David Sachs. But then since then, we've, this right here, look, see, this is 4 o'clock. So it peaked. And then we came down after the announcement. The market was looking for that committee to come out and say, look, we're buying Bitcoin today in droves. We're buying XRP. We're buying SUI. We're buying every single altcoin out there. We're going to buy them all. And we hope you follow suit. No, they didn't say that. They're being smart about this. They're saying, look, we can't just go and buy crypto. We have to figure out, it's more important to figure out what does it look like? What's the regulatory commitment of the United States? What do we want to pave a path? How do we want to make it safe for people, not scamish, people that have faith in the system instead of just going out and buying crypto? I think long term, this was a very, very, very bullish move. And when I say bullish, it's a very good move. Let's get rid of the word bullish and bearish. It's a very good move for crypto. And I say it's good because it allows people to have clarity on what they're getting into. Before, it was a high risk, super high risk. Now, that being said, high risk comes with very high reward. The lower the risk, the lower the reward. So, this, when, 1,000% gains, 100% gains overnight, those might slowly erode. But what comes in its place is you exchange that for safety. And I think people love those overnight gains, but I also think there's a lot of people that have lost their money. And when you get bigger institutional money involved in all of these things, there's going to be a higher propensity for manipulation, right? You have big players, big institutional Wall Street players involved in crypto. They're going to work the market to their advantage as long as they don't break any rules or laws. I don't know if that's always the case, but as long as they're playing within the rules or there are no rules, they're going to work that to their advantage to make money. And the small retail investor is going to suffer. And I think you've seen a lot of games being played. Some people have tossed around the idea that the 4-year cycle is dead. Is the 4-year cycle dead? I don't know. With institutional money, maybe it is because there's an ebb and flow in all markets. But the 4-year thing is just too precise for someone with real money not to look at it and go, here's an opportunity. These fools are on this 4-year cycle. We can disrupt this and make a ton of dough. A ton of dough. Now, this would be a podcast or a video all in of itself. But here's what I'm asking you to do. Take a look back at what was really said yesterday. Understand the overall idea of laying the groundwork first. Now, remember, this is not financial advice. I am not your financial advisor. I did not even ask for your like and subscription, but I would really appreciate you to hit the like button now, hit the bell notification, subscribe, do all those things, and put your comments down below. I want to know your thoughts on this. Do you think this is super bullish? Do you think this will lead us into the next 10, 20, 30 years of development of crypto, blockchain, and all these things? Or do you think this is just a ho-hum, trying to make a campaign promise somewhat true so they look good and they're not really putting thought into it? I don't believe what I just said, but I believe that what I said before, which is this is very bullish for crypto. So thanks again. Crypto Joe is out. I'll see you next time.